Hi guys, Kim here. I've just been listening to some videos done by a woman called Veda Austin that a friend of mine introduced me to. Very interesting stuff. I'll link the videos below in question. This video is over 2 hours long, so I just thought I would do a brief synopsis of what she was saying, and then you guys can watch the whole video if you want to. So Veda lives in New Zealand, and she starts off explaining that she had a very serious car accident about 20 years ago and had a number of operations on her stomach subsequently, but it set her onto a path whereby she was looking at drinking certain types of water in order to heal herself. She also explains that her father is a Maori fisherman, Maoris being the natives of New Zealand, and she says that she was brought up with a belief of the Maori tradition that water is a living entity rather than being a commodity, and it should be treated with the utmost respect. I don't know how many of you have seen the Disney movie Moana, but that very much is about this concept, depicting the relationship between the Maoris and the water. She'd been experimenting with the water for more than 10 years. She has a website, and she's also on Facebook, and she encourages others to experiment in the same way she has. She says it's quite simple, and she just uses a home freezer which is full of normal food and her mobile phone to take the photographs. She experiments with water in a similar way that Dr. Emoto did. Now, again, I've put a link to an article about Dr. Emoto's work for those of you that are not familiar with that. But these are some of the things that she talked about that I really thought were interesting and wanted to share with you. So, firstly, she talked about if you place a glass of purified water next to a glass of tap water, that the tap water glass will eventually begin to take on the properties of the purified water. She goes on to say if you place multiple glasses of water around that purified water, that the closest ones to the purified water would be more purified than the ones that would be further away, but all the glasses would be affected. She says when she does her freezing experiments, the ideal time to freeze water for is 4 minutes 45 to 5 minutes. That's when she gets the best results, and she talks about the freezing process being like different stages. You get different stages of the freezing process. She talks about one of the experiments she talks about is standing water on top of a photograph and then freezing the water for 5 minutes and then pulling the water out of the freezer, and it shows a mimicked picture of the photograph in the ice. She's also saying, and I found this bit really interesting, that energetically the very worst effect comes from ignoring something. So say you had 3 glasses of water, one with love written on the side and one with hate written on the side. So maybe the love one you pick up every day and you say nice words to it, and the hate one you say nasty words to it, and the third glass you simply ignore. What she did say was the glass that got ignored was the absolute worst outcome. That glass was by far the worst water. So if you were to translate that in terms of human, bearing in mind that we are vastly, percentage of us is water inside of us. So if you were to translate that to human energy, it may well explain bad behaviours on multiple levels, just merely by people being ignored. Not intentionally, but just generally. I woke up a couple of mornings ago with this thought that we're living in the age of water because we're living in the age of Pisces, and that we're living in that element, and therefore everything in this reality is triggered by emotion. You can look at the word emotion, E. It's like E equals energy whenever you see it in a word. So emotion, energy, in motion. So this is the thing that makes us move forward and go with the flow. She goes on to say that she was given some spring water with a very high level pH, and that she drank it for a few days, some glass started to come out from her skin from the accident that she'd had 20 years ago. She also talks about water, saying as a living entity it likes to go with the flow. It doesn't like to be forced around corners, so it doesn't like pipes and things. And the quality of the water drops by being forced to bend around corners and things. She talks about different experiments she does in purifying water, and she says that the best results that she's had as yet come from purifying or filtering through silk. So she doesn't know why silk is the most effective, other than to say that the process of silk, how silk is made, is a metamorphic process within itself, and therefore it might be that the water reacts to the silk in a more beneficial way because of that. Many other things that she talks about in this show. I just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of what she's talking about, and just a brief outline, because I found the subject entirely intriguing. Anyway, thanks for listening. As always, appreciate your comments. Ta-ta for now.